Hey buzzers, welcome to the Arrow season finale entitled Schism, not to be confused with Jism or anything else of that nature, so stay with us.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Show, guys. We're about to have an amazing season finale. Make sure you join the conversation. All you have to do is join the hashtag ABTV Arrow. And no, I am not wearing pants. And there's a reason for that. My name is Alikona Bradford. Be sure to follow me at Boys and Beauty 01. Explanations to come. But first, let's talk to our co-hosts.
I am Lex Michael, all over social media at the Lex Michael, not to be confused with Schism or anything of the sort, and I am wearing pants.
I'm Tauri Miller. You can find me at Tauri J. It's Taurijay. Would you say that?
I'm still trying to figure out what just happened.
Wait, Tauri, are you wearing pants?
I'm wearing pants. The J stands for jeans.
And she's trying to get her life together right now.
I'm trying to figure out what the hell is going on this after show. I miss a weekend. I come back to this.
Yeah.
You can find me on Twitter at Kiaxet. That's Kiaxet. I am evidently Jay Garrick because this is a joke that will never die.
Oh, man.
And I'm wearing leggings instead of pants.
Oh boy, what just happened, I needed that because I don't know about you guys, but I thought this finale was a bummer.
Excuse me, I'm gonna scoot away from the mic a minute. I'm dying.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, I thought it was a pretty decent finale. Look, I was slightly spoiled by the fact that Stephen Amell had already said the caption for this would be called "Where Did Everybody Go?"
Oh yeah.
So I already expected everybody to
evidently.
Whoa. Okay, just coming up from behind the table.
That was awesome.
All right. So anyway, let's talk about the show just a little bit, just a tad. You know, some people were kind of upset with us last time because we talked so much to our guests and not enough about the show. But hey, we don't always get industry guests. We wanted to, you know, utilize the moment.
For sure.
Helena in the chat says, please sound off if you are in fact wearing pants.
Hello.
And someone says that the title says Lucretia and not Katie. Guys, you copy pasted and you didn't fix it. I'm here. I promise.
Lucretia, welcome back.
There's so much weird stuff going on, you guys. You guys, what's happening?
I don't know. Okay, so Damien Dark is a little nuts and doesn't care if he kills his daughter because, you know, it spares her the pain of missing her mom. She just gets nuclear blasted. No big.
I think I want to run right into this because we were talking about this a little bit off camera before. I'm going to break in a minute. Oh my God. I'm trying. I'm trying so hard, but I can't get past that. We were talking about this off camera before we started. This whole idea about sometimes killing is the only way to get justice. And yes, that is an extremely depressing message. I think at this point, they've set up Dark well enough. They tried to do the prison thing. They took away his power. They threw him in prison. And that really super didn't work out, you know, 95% because Merlin. But Dark is not the kind of person that's going to stop. And at this point, he's gone just completely off the reserve. He's gone completely nuts and would rather just burn everything to the ground because his magic Nazi corn became magic Nazi popcorn and we're done with life.
Yeah.
So at that point, there is no other way to stop him and make sure he stays stopped. Slade, you took away his powers. He's not getting them back because they were a special mix of science and insanity. So that's a fun thing. Slade, you can put in prison and only bring him back when you need a cameo, and you can get Manny Bennett on set. Damien Dark, there is no way to put him away except for putting him down. And this is not a nice, cheery way to do it. And it did feel kind of anticlimactic, even including the Hope Spirit bomb that we had going on.
Yeah.
But they set up those dominoes and they knocked them down, and I cannot fault them for that.
Yeah, and what I said, you know, when we had this conversation before we got on mic, I totally agreed that it does track logically and they put the pieces in place to create a scenario where, yeah, there really doesn't seem to be any other way of effectively and permanently dealing with this threat. And I don't know, maybe it's just that like when Batman v Superman came out a couple of months ago, it broke something in me, but now I am weirdly hypersensitive to superhero stories that feel super, super grim and dark, and it doesn't necessarily feel like there's a reason or it necessarily feels earned. So when the message of the episode seems to be killing sometimes is the only way to get justice, and the episode deals with it in such a way that it doesn't really present the other side of it, I just feel like it just bums me out, man. Like,
all right, I have two things to say about that.
Yeah.
Well, the first thing is more going back regarding Damien Dark. He's a romantic. A lot of people say that they would destroy the world for the person they love, but he'd actually do it. But second of all, I get that concept is a bummer, that like killing is the only way to get justice, but like that phrase set Oliver on his path to becoming the Green Arrow, and so like it being said right before he comes back and does everything that we know that he does in terms of like knocking people off the list and all that stuff, it makes sense. And I think that was kind of setting up that as the Green Arrow, killing is probably the only way that he can get justice, but as the mayor, he can do something more, and that's where the schism comes from, is like he's realizing that those two pieces are incongruous.
sure.
I was going to say, I feel like though this entire season, they kept putting Oliver in a position to where, do you kill, do you not kill? And there were points where I almost felt like he was a pushover because he just wouldn't do it. He wouldn't cross his boundaries. And even other people on his team were like, oh my God, just do it already.
Well, but I'm kind of on his side for that one, because it's like if you have a recovering alcoholic, they won't even have one drink because they know where that path leads. He's a recovering murderholic, I guess.
Sure.
And again, you take one life, you know where that path leads. He knows that slippery slope. He's leapt off it before. And so his hesitance to go take a running leap again is very much understandable.
It's just interesting though, because you have people on his team who are willing to shoot and kill somebody, and then you've got him who's the lead of the team who won't do it. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. Which brings me
everyone
also
has to do the same thing.
True. You're on the same team. But either way, I want to talk also a little bit about Lila, because she upset me a little bit at the beginning of this episode, because Oliver told her, if you send your men in, they gon' die.
Yeah.
And what'd she say? This is my call. What was she exactly hoping to accomplish, knowing that this very powerful man, whom, with Oliver, who, yeah, he's highly trained too, but come on, man, the whole team couldn't take him down, and he stops bullets and decimates
his whole
arrows.
deal is he's evil, he's magic, and he kills people and eats their souls, and that's how he gets power.
Right!
You just gave him a ton of food.
Merry Christmas?
Yeah.
There are, what, half a dozen people there? And it's just like, hey, appetizers.
I'd imagine for her it's a way of like trying to have control in a situation she can't control.
Just accept that you don't have control,
That's
boo-boo.
not easy to do.
When you're the head of Argus, you don't want to be out of control of any situation. And this entire situation has been out of control ever since Damien Dark cornered her on a Mack truck and took a chip out of her arm.
Yeah.
So, yes, I can see her trying to get that control back. Is it a good decision? No, it's another step in the bad decision
Let's
conga
put it
line.
this
That's where
way.
we live.
If she was with the team, would she be the one running in there like, oh, I'm gonna kill you? Oh,
Probably.
Really?
She would need a fun helmet or something.
Yeah.
I guess. Anyway, I don't know.
He wouldn't kill her because he'd be like, oh, you're the head of this, so I can use you to get to da-da-da. He'd monologue at her because she's important, as opposed to these faceless drones who die off screen but on audio. So she'd get a little monologuing and probably get saved at the last minute in the same way that we had Oliver saved by threatening to murder a small child. But yeah, no, I
Tuesday
feel like if she
Addams.
was with the team, she'd do it.
Yeah. It was interesting though too, because a lot of the team at that point were starting to lose faith and hope. So the missiles are about to be set off. They have 2 hours to the end of the world. And then you have her and Diggle talking about, well, we can at least meet up at this one spot. Let's just all at least be together while we die. Okay, I understand the concept, but the team is slowly just starting to lose their hope. And I really love the fact that you have Curtis, I was going to call him by his real name, that you have Curtis coming in there being this beam of optimism, and I loved the speech that he had given to Oliver too about, I don't know, I think Oliver sometimes just, he's so busy feeling guilty and sorry for himself and every other thing bad in the world, that he doesn't take the time to realize how he's positively affected people. So it's nice when somebody outside, because even though Echo is whatever, you know what I mean. Yeah. Even though he's part of the team, he's still not a part of the team. So he's an outsider.
Sure.
You know, it's like
when you hate yourself, it's really hard to see any positive impact you might have on people. And let's be real, Oliver does not like himself.
Yeah, but although I will say, I really did appreciate, like you were saying, Alikona, the fact that, yes, you need a voice of optimism. Good God, in this episode, you needed one person being like, not everything's horrible. Yeah. But also, I really, really liked, I'm not sure how much time elapsed between that speech and the next speech, but it really felt like he said what he said to Oliver, and Oliver went, huh. Yeah, and he went outside and immediately jumped on a taxi.
Yeah.
Well, it couldn't have been very long, because he got the speech from Curtis after the missiles had launched, and he gave the speech to the people
before they hit. Yeah.
So like 10-15 minutes tops.
Which I liked.
Yeah.
Wait,
that was pretty great.
I like the fact that he jumped on a car and everyone's like, rah, 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 rah. Oh, look, it's Oliver. Hold on, what do you want to talk about? I was like, that fast? That fast? It wasn't even a little bit of a waning. It was like I'm on a car. You would have thought he was naked or something.
Like, and I get the purpose of that scene. That scene didn't totally work for me because I didn't love the way the speech was written. It felt a little bit generic to me, but I did also really like, you get to a certain point in the speech where he's saying, you know, they're rousing, but they're essentially platitudes. But you cut to a couple of people in the crowd reacting. And at first it's very straight, very stoic. They're not really absorbing it yet. But then he says something, and I forget what the exact line is, but it cuts to one random extra in the crowd. And the guy just nods like, yeah, that's my guy. Yeah.
I loved it so much. I was recently an extra for a show, and that's an episode that's not going to air for forever. But just sitting there, just watching the extras go and going, you took that direction to heart, you took that direction to heart, and you were probably not supposed to do that, but boy, does it look good on the tape.
Nice.
Yeah.
I liked the speech. I'm not usually a speech guy. So just because also you never get to hear Oliver's like high pitchy loud
actual voice.
Yeah. So that was nice. But I felt like that was one of the more like comic booky moments of this episode, where it's like someone's giving a speech and you don't even know how it's being broadcast to everyone, but everyone hears it and everyone's pushed forward by it.
Well, no, they showed that there was a news camera.
There was a guy with
candidate Oliver Queen.
Yeah.
Well, no, seriously, if you've been on the other side of a news broadcast, you know how quickly they have to work to keep up with this. Mm-hmm. And there were already cameras and crews there broadcasting the riots. Yeah. So it's like, okay, we're broadcasting that. Oh, hey, this is gold, and just turning and, someone in the studio going, make a lower third, we need it now.
Make it say Lucretia.
I can say Lucretia, that's great. I can see that happening. Like, I can definitely just see the studio side of this going, we need this, cut to that. Do we have a reporter on the scene? No, she died, just the camera crew? Well, okay, whatever, keep rolling. This is great.
Yeah.
Really quick, Billie Jean Girl 18 says that, I missed your thing. Basically, that she would not stay in the city. And then I just want you guys to know, #Schism. It's happening.
God damn it.
I would not click that hashtag. I would stay far away.
Just letting you know, it's just what my phone is telling me.
You're gonna get like the darkest parts of Twitter if you follow that hashtag. Yes,
believe me, you don't want that, and then the spam bots are gonna follow you, and you don't want that either. Just don't.
But it's a good question because as Curtis points out, it seems like only a crazy person would continue to live in that city. Yeah. Any of these cities, whether it's Star City or Central City over on Flash, only bad stuff happens there. And yes, we have a team of people, Team Arrow or Team Flash, that are there to save the day and make things right. But good God, awful things just keep happening to everybody who lives in these places.
And Oliver listed them too. He was like, we had the undertaking, we had the siege, we had the, what do you call it? What was the other one?
The outbreak.
The outbreak.
That was all of, 4 people, but whatever. It was all of 4 people.
Those 4 people could have been us.
That's a good point. He's got a point.
Are you a member of the League of Assassins?
Full member.
Wait,
Right. Former member of the League of Assassins.
Yes.
Like, I'm gonna pull that out of my. Oh wait, where's Merlin? So he can show up and go. I used to be Ra's al Ghul.
And Kendra can show up and talk about how she used to be a barista. Yeah.
Did you say Kendra?
Kendra.
Yeah.
Hot girl.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were talking
went the
about
wrong
like
way,
a
huh?
Kardashian. Is there a Kendra? I don't know.
No, there
whatever.
isn't.
Sounds like
And it's very sad that I know that.
There will be, though. If they keep making more Kardashians, there will eventually be a Kendra.
Do you mean having children? Because that's how you make more Kardashians.
No, they manufacture
don't.
those on an assembly line, I'm pretty sure.
that makes sense.
Anyway,
I'm
what?
pretty sure they had children. Schism is involved.
The hashtag gross and sticky.
Oh.
So, yeah, it's a terrible place to live.
I wanted to say something, and I just totally lost track of what I wanted to say.
That's perfectly okay. But yeah, no, they make a good sense. You either have to be crazy to live there or essentially too poor to move.
Yeah.
That's what they don't bring up because let's be real, with the Shades being as big as it is and now being a crater,
Sure.
You'd have to be too poor to leave or just, my family's been here, my family's been here, the third castle burned down, fell over, and then sank into the swamp, but the fourth one stayed. Like that sort of thing.
Really
Yeah,
quick.
I would imagine.
No, I just wanted to make a correction. It was Olicity Lover 21 that said that she wouldn't live in the city. Don't want to misquote.
I feel like there's a
Please go
lot
ahead.
of people in here saying they would not live in the city.
I would
So-
imagine it's like there's like a sense of city pride, like if you lived in Detroit. No offense, Detroit, but people from Detroit really love Detroit. Like they're very hardcore Detroit people, and there's like a very rich, long history of like Detroit and
Rock and
things and
roll.
stuff happening there.
Yeah.
But like in certain parts it's super like dangerous and abandoned, but like people live there because they love their city and they have hope for it, and I get why people stay.
Detroit is the low-key star city of America.
There we
Yeah.
go.
Oh,
Figured it out.
God.
But we did.
Well,
and
I'm
sorry.
real sorry, Detroit.
No. I was gonna say I saw that coming a little bit as soon as Oliver's getting ready to fight Damien, and the city comes up, and they're like, "Rah, Rama! Here comes the Hope Force." That's how. That's how this
I
episode
called
is
that
gonna
at
go.
the beginning
Did
of
you?
the episode. The first 5 minutes. Took off my headphones, looked at this one, and
Yeah.
said, this is going to end with the city lending Oliver their hope, and it is going to be a hope spirit bomb, and that is how they're going to counteract this. Lo and freaking behold.
Well, and it absolutely tracks too with the notion that maybe the city's full of crazy people, but we do like that happens, and then we get what felt like a little bit of a greatest hits medley of climaxes from other superhero movies.
The Spider-Man
Yeah, we had
scene
that-
where they're just throwing
You mess
stuff
with
at
Spidey,
Dark.
you mess with New York. Yeah.
Yeah.
That moment, but then the entire climax felt to me like a very intentional, total, not just an homage, a total lift from the end of The Dark Knight Rises. So much so that I would not have been surprised had Matthew Modine stepped out in his dress blues and said, "There's only one police in this town," because it's the same.
I don't know. I haven't seen the
I
movie.
didn't realize
so,
Matthew Modine was in Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
Last time I saw him was in a stage play called Matthew Modine Saves the Alpacas, and it was weird.
Where, I
would
want to see
imagine.
that.
It was like 6 years ago.
I don't know. I will say this though. It was a good death, and I don't normally say that.
I
But
disagree.
I don't mean I mean the facial expressions as he was dying.
he
as an
acted it out
actor.
well. Oh,
As an
okay.
actor, it was a good death.
Yeah, and Neil McDonough's been crushing it absolutely all season.
yeah.
That's maybe the biggest. Oh, you're dying.
Yeah, I was dying next to you.
I was-
You interrupted my death.
Oh, sorry. Go, die.
Not
Die.
everyone
No.
gets a
That only
monologue.
happens once.
interrupt
It
you,
only
yeah.
happens
I
once.
ruined
Don't let
it.
her die.
We have two people from New Zealand in the chat.
Yeah. Hey, New
Hey
Zealand.
guys,
Hi,
is it
Kiwis.
like
Eee.
is it death o'clock in the morning over there? Like what time is it?
Probably morning, I would assume.
But
Probably.
for me, maybe the biggest bummer in an episode full of really big bummers is that we are not going to get more Neil McDonough on this show, because I think he has been so much fun to watch. He lacks, the character of Damien Dark as a villain lacks the real personal connection to Oliver and to our team that I think Malcolm has, that Slade had, that I think makes those villains a bit more compelling. But oh goodness, was Neil McDonough so much fun to watch all season.
Yeah.
He absolutely did not give a damn,
Yeah.
and it was just great.
Yeah.
It's like you could just see him skipping through explosions and the living in the sunlight, laughing in the moonlight, having a wonderful time, just in the background.
I honestly thought he was going to make it to season 5. And the only reason I say that is because at the end of every season, it's like we close a chapter of villain and we move on to a new villain the next season, which is okay. But for whatever reason, I thought he was going to have a little bit more longevity. So when Hope died, I went, oh, okay, I guess that's fine.
I guess it's 5:40 p.m. in New Zealand.
Oh,
it's
well,
1:30 in the morning in
were
Florida.
way off.
Hello.
Way off.
But
That's okay.
I do feel
Everyone's
like,
lovely.
even though I think both of the actors played the moment where Oliver makes the decision to kill Dark, I think they played it just fine. It felt to me, and this comes back to my biggest issue with the finale, it felt more like something that just happened, as opposed to something that really felt like a cathartic payoff for something they've been building all season. And maybe if I felt like that moment had worked a little better for me, or it felt a little bit more earned in the context of this episode, maybe the, oh wow, this is depressing of it all wouldn't bother me so much.
I think after Laurel's death, you can't have a cathartic payoff. There is nothing that's going to make this better.
Sure.
We killed him because it absolutely straight up had to be done, and it took someone on the team dying to show us that, nope, we can't shut him down like we did with Slade, or like we kind of sort of did with Malcolm. Let's be real. It never takes when it comes to Malcolm. But this was something that just, it was on the to-do list. It absolutely had to be done.
Yeah.
There's no great triumph. There's no wonderful, we accomplished something. It was, knock that one off the list. What's the next one? Cleanup crews on aisle everything. All right.
Yeah.
Really quick, I do want to give a shout out though to James Bamford, because another amazing fight scene, not just with the two, although it was a nice reminder that Damien Dark was a member of Hive, because this whole entire season he's had his minions do most of his fighting, and then if not, he had his magic, so it wasn't very physical. It was talk to the palm.
Right.
Okay, you're down. So to see him actually in action, I was like, this is nice. And then finally to see Arrow Team Arrow, be inspired by the speech as well, and have their moment of coming to get his back. I was like, okay, I like this.
Well, and when you're stunt coordinator, you're not just coordinating, this is the big centerpiece fight. It's everything else going on in that scene. When you are the stunt person, you need to make sure that everyone knows what they're doing and that they are physically capable of doing it. Like, that is not an easy job to do, and that is so many moving parts, some of which never make it off the cutting room floor.
Yeah.
And it just, it's wild.
You know what I don't understand is how these members of Hive, knowing, or maybe, I don't know, Damien lied to them, but with the 2 hours left, dudes, why are you still breaking into the Arrow Cave shooting at people? Everyone's gonna die anyway, so what do you get out of shooting somebody before the world explodes? A. B, why are you backing up Cuckoo over there, right? I mean, I get that you could have a slow, painful death.
They're
hence
brainwashed
Cooper.
and missing half their chromosomes.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah,
Never
it's the
mind.
brainwashing thing.
It's the chromosome thing all over again.
Shiza.
But as for going in and taking out the Arrow Cave, it's because there are people in there who have made a habit of trying to stop Damien Dark. We're temporarily able to stop the thing. The missiles.
Rubicon.
Rubicon, here we go.
I was like, Genesis, that's the whole thing. I'm just talking about this little slice of the pie. And so taking out the people who are capable of stopping your leader's plans is definitely something that you want to try to do, because of course, them being the big damn hero types, they're going to try and stop your leader's plans again. So that does make sense. I don't know how they found it. Maybe
Or got in.
Well, you know,
At this
I'm
point, it's
starting to
probably
think that
on a
Barrowman
map.
just told them where it was.
Maybe
he
that.
dropped a pin on Google Maps and said, "This is where it is. Just go."
Yeah, now
Just
that
go.
everybody has more or less bailed and there's only 2 people occupying the cave, can we just change the locks on the place? Maybe, no.
Get a
first,
new cave!
First we either move, or we install doors, or we change the locks, or preferably all of them, and we stop giving the keys out to so many people, because that only leads to trouble, like an army bursting into your bunker and trying to kill you.
See, I'd love to see them just go out of a condo or something. They're, they're going to go out of the mayor's office. They're going to take that ley line and they're going to make it the new Arrow Cave, and it's just going to be completely crazy because Oliver has magic now too.
Yeah.
All I can think about is earlier, you were like weeks ago, you were talking about the Flash and how you wanted it to stay Barry with no speed and everyone around him randomly getting powers, and I'm like, well that kind of happened. For a little bit there, that kind of happened. So yeah, Oliver has magic now, you guys.
The Magic Mayor.
Oh, well, this is just one quick.
He's a magic man.
What?
The what?
Wait, no.
Nothing quick.
No.
Wig
And
away.
try it again.
Welcome back.
One quick one-liner, say that 5 times fast, that I want to bring up that was my favorite of the entire episode is when Malcolm walked in and he said to Oliver, he said, "You make me long for a voting booth." And I was like, yeah, me too. Okay. I thought it was great. It was after the speech. Anyways.
Yeah,
okay,
but
that's
it's
all.
Barrowman. Nothing is at face value. It's just like, and then there's this asshole. Welcome back, Lee.
Hey, at least he killed a few folks for their team. He decided, hey, team world.
And I love the really good aim. How do I know you weren't aiming for me? I don't even know that I wasn't aiming for you.
Right. That was awesome. Okay, let's talk about Cooper, though, because I briefly mentioned him, but obviously he's the one behind all the missile launching. I thought it was really interesting the way they had it. So there's a bullet in his spine that Damien is bamboozling up more. And I thought it was just interesting that they were in the middle of a fight, and he could sense that the missile stopped, and he's like, hold on, please. You're dead. Okay, let's fight.
I feel like he was just keeping tabs on that. Like, okay, we're going to separate out, did little tasks for the magic to do. Okay, the big one is failing, so we can, okay.
But wasn't his magic gone?
That was the part that I got a little stuck on, too,
Yeah.
because I was like, wait, weren't you depowered already? At
So
that point?
how
I
did
don't
you
think it was
sense that
depowered.
bee?
I think he just couldn't use it against Oliver.
Because it's the magic
or
on the
against
magic.
anyone
Right.
else there. It
Okay.
was negated as an offensive force, but that doesn't mean he wasn't still pulling some strings.
That makes
Right.
sense.
So I thought for sure that he would go after Felicity with his magic, like, oh, this guy's dead. There must be someone there now. Nyeh.
No.
I guess the thought didn't cross his mind.
Well, I
Well,
think-
he was busy beating up and getting beaten up by Oliver
And
by
then dying.
turns.
Right.
And then, you
Yeah,
know,
and I think
dying.
they usually have to be within his like line of sight for the most part. But he had already like tagged Cooper.
That's
would be
true.
My yeah.
Yeah.
Like evil Instagram?
Yeah, pretty much.
Less evil Instagram and more put a chip in his ear.
Oh, yeah.
There's a chip in his ear? Did I miss that?
No, like
Oh.
like you chip your pets.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
Although pet chips don't go in ears, they go in the back.
All right.
I felt
It's late.
I felt terrible for Cooper. Like he was
Yeah,
busted
poor
out of
bastard.
prison. He thought he was gonna be like this hotshot guy. Ends up getting owned by his ex-girlfriend and then tortured. So sad.
You know, but I do appreciate because he was honest. He said, "What can I say? I'm a selfish bastard. Got to keep doing this." You realize everyone's gonna die, right? It's okay. I'd rather have everyone die instead of just me have a slow, painful death. Really, dude?
Yeah.
Well, I'm just-
Self-preservation, brah.
Yeah, I guess. I like how Felicity's like, "Sorry, Coop. All right."
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out like what that job interview was like, because if I'm Cooper and somebody's talking about missile defense systems, but they won't stop smiling real big like a Cheshire cat grin, I go, this is great, I gotta...
There wasn't a job interview. He made the comment about the great thing about breaking people out of prison is that they owe you favors. So he probably just kind of went, you're a hacker. I need you to do some stuff. Like, I'm imagining just picking him up by the scruff of his neck if we're going with the
like
chipping
a
the
small
pet
cat,
metaphor.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yep. XTC 1212 in chat saying Dark defeated by the power of arrow to the knee. Which I appreciate that. The biggest villains on Arrow are the writers. Ouch. Yeah, funny. But ouch.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
All right.
Oh dear. My emotions.
And then a lot of chat wants us to bring up the fact the parallelism between Laurel's death and Damien Dark's death. Someone else shooting the arrow, the second person picking it up and being like, dispense
Yes.
stabbity death. So.
Yeah. That is very true, actually. I wonder why they decided to do that. Or maybe it's just
Because
the irony.
parallelism.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, I'm
Justice.
fairly certain that was a conscious choice on Oliver's part. Like, oh, this looks familiar.
Okay. Feel my pain. Got it.
And I wonder too, though, because
Choke on my vengeance. How does it taste?
but because I do think it's a nice mirror image in execution, I'm wondering if that's something that was there on the page, or that's how, when they were shooting it, they decided to stage the moment. Do you guys know if these scripts get published somewhere? Like, can we maybe download, take a look at a published version of the scripts for these episodes?
I don't know, but I would be very surprised if that was not planned in the script.
Sure.
I would too. I just want to bring this up though from last episode. If you guys did not watch, or if you did, we'll rehash. But James Bamford had said that Stephen Amell, that Stephen Amell knows Oliver Queen so well, from where he got every scar to whatever, and what actions he would take. So even sometimes he might correct the writers in certain things and saying, well, no, he wouldn't do that. That's not what Oliver would do. So in that moment, it'd be interesting to know if that was something that maybe he and not the writers
Possibly.
Instigated.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Golly.
CW, if you're watching this, let us know. Comment below on this YouTube video or leave a comment on iTunes.
Thank you for that public announcement.
Yeah. CW
We'll do
watches
iTunes
this.
later. We'll do iTunes later.
Okay, so yeah, we have lost some members. Let's talk about how everyone has departed from the team. I get that everybody needs a vacation. I think it's interesting that everybody simultaneously just dumps their weapons and they're like, deuces.
Or like, the season's over, we're off for a few months.
Right.
I like that
Coincidentally.
because last season we had Oliver and Felicity leave.
True.
And then this season, they're the only ones that are staying, and I love the switch for that. I thought that was interesting. I am very sad that everyone's going their separate ways. There's no way they're staying off the show.
Course.
Let's be real.
Yeah.
But we've got 6 months for them to kind of
Hang
do
out.
things.
And it totally seems like everybody's earned a breather.
yeah.
Like, it's been a real rough year for these guys. And like, even if we're only reacting to something immediately, like Thea points out, I came right out of the Lazarus pit and I started doing this, and I've taken it so far that my plan was to maybe murder a kid. I'm gonna go do like literally anything else. I'm gonna go be a barista for a couple of months.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, and then you've got Diggle, who had to kill his brother, and I get it. You can argue, yes, he had to kill his brother.
That doesn't make it any easier.
Yeah, I think I'd need to just take a year after that and not kill anybody.
Yeah.
But then
Yeah.
it seems like he's going back into the military, and we're not really sure in what capacity he's going back into the military.
Just, as a military brat, the details in this episode killed me. It's like, it came from Warren Air Force Base in No, F.E. Warren Air Force Base is in Cheyenne, Wyoming. It's the biggest thing in that city, and I know because I lived there for 2 years in a haunted house that was built for General Blackjack Pershing. Yeah,
can that
I
be
lived
what
in a
the-
haunted house for 2 years.
Can that be what the
That's
season 5 flashbacks are about?
Yeah, look.
Katie's life.
It's not as crazy as you think. There's funny stories, but there's not any really spooky ones
I've
that I went through.
I've
at
had
least.
some scary things happen.
Yeah.
But that's a whole nother after show.
So yeah, F.E. Warren Air Force Base is a really big nuclear base, but it's in Cheyenne. Your nuclear base for Colorado, one of your big ones, is Cheyenne Mountain.
Well, thanks for telling the
Colorado
world. Maybe
Springs.
they were just trying to keep it a secret. And you
Boy,
just
it's
blew it out
almost
the
like you
water.
can get this information on Google.
Oh, hush!
Bad guys
Military
don't Google
brat.
things.
And then the
They
other
use
thing-
Bing.
They use Bing.
So Bing is evil Google?
Yeah.
Yes.
We will never be sponsored by Bing now.
We used to be.
Oh.
No, we weren't.
Yeah, we were.
Bing,
Yes,
if
we
you're
were.
watching this, I
Yes,
apologize.
we were.
You
Because I
are
used to
not
have to
evil.
intro the show all the time.
Wow.
Anyhow.
Yeah, and the other thing is Diggle wearing his dress uniform. Just like, I'm going to travel in this. Like, no. You travel in your BDUs. You travel in your casual clothes. There are certain outfits that you can wear out and about in public. Your dress uniform is for promotions, retirements, formal events. Not going on a plane. Like, I get being like, here's his rank, and here is the flip ton of decorations he has. Holy cow, there were 27 of them on his chest.
Yeah.
What the hell were you doing? But if you want to do, like you were saying, visual shorthand
Right.
for he's going back into the army, have him in his camo, it still has his rank on his bicep, go. Because that dress uniform does not come out of the closet except on extremely special occasions.
It did. It seemed way over elaborate if the intent was, the visual shorthand thing. It almost felt a little bit like he put on his army costume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's what it was.
I mean, it is. If we're talking about the production of the show, it is literally an army costume. But it felt like so much more elaborate than what was needed to get the point across. If
And
the
that
point
is a
was,
very highly decorated uniform.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Well, you counted the number of
To figure out, yeah. Well, he's a master sergeant, so which is the second highest rank you can get enlisted in the Army. And then you start, the officer track is completely different. And just all the different individual medals. 27, because each of those little bars is a recognition for one thing or another.
Right.
That's a lot.
Well, we
My
already...
dad was in the Air Force for 27 years, and he does not have 27 little... but he
Diggle's
was
a
colonel, so-
badass. We're just trying to establish that Diggle's a badass.
I know.
Yeah.
Let's just talk about how Lance...
It's overkill.
I really enjoyed Lance's departure. Not that I enjoyed him leaving. I just enjoyed the speech that he'd given to Oliver about him for his whole life. Never would have thought he'd be relieved by getting fired. But now that he feels justice has been served, he's ready to go. And I like that him and Donna are starting their life in a you know, a different direction. Mama, as Felicity put it, you my mama. I was like, okay. Anyhow.
Well, one of his daughters is dead. The other one is lost in time. God knows where his ex is. And he's found another woman that he loves who lives somewhere else. So let's just leave this completely insane city. I have no reason to stay.
Yeah.
But isn't it ironic that Curtis gave the speech about why he stayed in the crazy city, which gave everybody hope, which gave Oliver the speech, and all these hopeful people on the team are all leaving the city?
That doesn't make having that nice hopeful speech does not make you any less burned out on an overall basis.
Yeah, I feel like that gets you as far as let's not quit today. I feel like it doesn't get you as far as let's never leave this horrible place.
It's the adrenaline boost to get you through, but it does not take the place of the week or so of sleep that you need after this. It's a short-term solution to a long-term problem.
Okay.
Yes, but I liked that them driving off together at the end was very reminiscent of the way Oliver and Felicity ended last season.
Yeah,
which I thought was a nice
was.
touch. And I'm like, good for those crazy kids. They deserve each other, and I mean that sincerely, not in a weirdly ironic, nasty way.
Mystic Lightning says Lance should go to Central City and hang out with Joe. And about 5 people have been asking us about how we think the Flash will affect this, and we should save that towards the end of the show because that is wild theorizing and predictions territory, and we are not there.
Yeah, and they also name drop Kovar a couple of times this week and last week, and I think based on the different iterations of that character that exist, that might be relevant to this crazy theorizing that we just alluded to.
Yeah. So predictions is going to be fun, but we're not there yet.
Yeah.
Really quick, 2 things. One, the very quick thing is daughter is just where exactly?
Chat wants her to be the villain for the next season.
That-
They want
I
her
mean-
crawling out of the rubble with glowing eyes because she was still in the ley line with the idol when all these people were dying.
I'm just wondering what exactly her mental stance is on just life in general and how long she's known her daddy has been evil, or did she just find out recently? You know? Or it's just, you know, it's a normal way of life.
Or is it, I wonder if it's even like, I think of my dad as good or evil, or just he's my dad.
I think it's just he's my dad.
He's my dad. Dad, why are we in this cave? Why do these people have guns? Oh, that's scary. Why is the cave collapsing? What's happening?
Yeah.
I was just at arrow point.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So now this kid will probably be in therapy for the rest of her life, and that's a best case scenario. Probably. But maybe they'll
It'd be really weird if she actually became part of Oliver's team. Just because she had nowhere else to go. And, you know, he's got a soft spot.
Sure.
You look like you want to say something, Tauri.
I mean, I think
No, that's what you want to say. No.
No, but I think it would be interesting if she. There was a character in Batman, where she was like a super crazy psychic. She was Ace.
Ace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it would be awesome if she became Ace. So that'd be cool.
That's deep cuts, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was some heartbreaking Justice League up in there. Oh, man.
Speaking of heartbreaks, really heartbroken that Diana,
Tiana.
whatever, Anna.
Tianna.
I saw the spelling of it. I just always want to call her Diana instead of Tiana. Anyhow, but let's talk about that. We've not talked about the flashback, and finally, well, we've had some good ones before, but this one was a decent length with a good story in it, so I want to talk about it.
Well, they did have to wrap up the flashbacks.
Yeah.
So.
And there were parts of it that I thought worked okay. There were parts of it that felt super abrupt to me. Like, until Amanda Waller showed up, I kept waiting for Ryder to pop up again.
When did Ryder die?
He got the knife in the back.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I think I completely missed that somehow. It was just so.
It was very quick.
Yes.
Well, because
Super abrupt.
you had the two of them fighting, and their inner souls of evil darkness were fighting against each other, and yeah.
And then we just spent stabbity death.
Yeah.
Stabbity death.
And now we know what happened to her, because I think all of us, or at least I was wondering if she's going to show up in Russia or what the thing was, but now we know obviously it's not going to happen.
Yeah, she's quite dead.
Yeah.
I'm kind of okay with that, and that's really a sad thing to say, but I have just been so done with all of these flashbacks back on the island. Like, we wrapped it up. It absolutely sucks for her. I would have loved to have seen more of her, but once you go idol crazy, there's really no going back. So, but I did like that she went on her terms.
That's true, yeah.
As much of her terms as she could have at that point in time.
Yeah.
Yeah, my big issue really is just that the entire season, there were only a couple of episodes where, to me, the flashbacks didn't feel largely superfluous. It felt like they were there because, well, we've been doing this for 4 years now. This is just how Arrow is structured.
Yeah.
Rather than they actually served much of a purpose. There were a couple of episodes this season where we didn't have them at all. And I didn't miss them.
And then we had the one episode where it was all Laurel flashbacks, and I thought that was really well done.
Yeah, because those flashbacks actually really needed to happen, gave you some closure, and then also really felt of a piece with the rest of the show. And weirdly, even though, you're dealing in the flashbacks with the same magical juju and idols and whatnot that you are dealing with now in the present as we built towards the climax of the season, it still felt so disconnected, and it still felt like we're doing this because we feel like we're supposed to.
Yeah, because it's lost the sense of parallels. Like, there used to be a moral to each of the flashbacks, whereas, like, now it just kind of, like, is... It's a D story. It's like a story that's happening in the background of everything else that's happening, and eventually will come around to kind of meet your main story. But you have to wait 23 episodes for it to really matter.
Yeah.
And the way they left it felt to me like, oh, okay, we spent all this time on the flashbacks this season to set up the flashbacks for the next season.
Pretty much. So we think we're going to Russia next season. That seems to be the consensus.
They don't even know. We talked about that in one of our news and gossips, how the writers even admitted to struggling a little bit with the flashbacks because you get to a certain point and it's like, okay, we only have 5 years to work with, and eventually after 5 seasons we're gonna run out of stuff. And I thought it was
flashing back to season 1.
You're right. There you go. There you go.
Remember when Mom died?
No, but I thought
I did like the callback for that. Sorry.
No. I was gonna say, I thought it was interesting though when Amanda Waller did show up. She already established, her one purpose for him doing that because he thought it was about darkness and that he could beat this or that or whatever. And she's like, no, honey, like you're dark. It's fine. That's who you are. Actually, I just wanted to prove to you that death can mean justice. Cool. Do you want to go home? Do you want to go here? Do you want to go there? What do you want to do?
I want to make you a global assassin.
Right.
Like, that was the long and short of that one, is like, I want you on my nice little short leash so I can let you off it and have you murder some people, and then you can come back and it'll be great.
I just figured it out. I just figured out why the whole killing is sometimes the only way to justice thing really bugs me. It's because it came from Amanda Waller.
Yeah. Oh, that's a really good point.
That's what it is. Okay, because Amanda Waller, if you're familiar with the source material, even to an extent what we've seen of her on Arrow, yes, she doesn't dress like an evil clown and stab people, but she is depicted frequently as just as villainous, if not more so, as any of the villains in the DC Pantheon. So when she says that, and the show goes, yeah, I go, really?
I mean, she has the reins of the Suicide Squad. Was that her idea? Was the Suicide Squad her creation?
Depends on which version you read. In the movies,
in the show.
Yes. God, I'm trying to remember now the Suicide
feel
Squad
like
stuff in the
was.
show. It came out of Argus, right? So it had to be.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So that you make a really, really good point.
I figured it out. There we go.
It makes more sense because you think back to the scene with Felicity in the limo saying, you know what you have to do? You have to kill the bastard. That makes more sense.
Yes.
It works better coming from her saying, this is it. We have passed the point of no return. We have to kill him because trying to put him in prison obviously did not work to great detriment.
Yeah, and right, that's what it is, and it's the parallels or the attempted parallels with the flashbacks almost working against the show because I feel like Oliver should have taken a second, remembered that line, remembered who said it to him. And went, oh no, this is one of the nastiest people I've ever met. I don't want to take this person's advice.
They were just trying to make it connect to the present.
Yeah, but I think the fact that we initially had the idea breached by Felicity makes it a little more palatable.
A little bit, and I would have
because it's Felicity.
And I would have rather had Felicity be the one to have that conversation with Oliver again. Maybe if you could figure out a way to work that, I think it would have felt less real weird coming from her than coming from one of the evilest people in the DCU.
Even just her saying, I know you didn't want to do it, but you know that it had to be done.
Right.
There was no, we tried every other way. There just wasn't a way to.
I think even though it would have still bummed me out, because it still would have been a really down note to end on, it would have made more sense to me, I think, emotionally. I think.
Yeah.
I don't know because we're talking about now like a hypothetical version of this episode that only exists in our minds, so who knows, but I feel like there was a better way to handle that choice.
Yeah, this was a little rough, and it was a very depressing season finale. And yeah, they were going for a lighter tone this season, weren't they? Let's start you off with a grave. Thanks, guys.
Oh boy.
This was a
Billie
rough,
Jean
rough
Girl
episode.
18 says, do you think the flashbacks will ever make sense and connect Oliver getting rescued from the island? I mean, at this point, it was his choice to stay, if I'm correct. I don't know.
Well, no, he talks about at the end of the flashback tonight, he says, no, I've still got a promise to keep, which alludes to the promise he made to
Laurel, right?
Diana.
Oh.
Because, last week,
To
if
go
I'm
take
not...
down what's his bud in
Kovar.
Russia. Thank you.
Okay, makes sense. And in my mind, I was thinking about promise to come home to Laurel. Because everyone was talking about Laurel this episode. They kept referring back to what... I need a bracelet that says, what would Laurel do? But that's basically what everyone was
WWLD.
saying. Yeah.
Sure.
You know? Anyhow, that's it. But can you check the hashtag really quick before we move on? Because I think we probably should.
No, I've been keeping an eye on the hashtag and on the chat. I mean, they're mostly kind of having their own conversations at this point, and a lot of it is, again, trying to bring up the Flashpoint stuff that happened in the Flash. And guys, we're going to cover that in predictions. We're going to go just completely off the reservation when it comes to that.
Yeah, there's a lot of
problems,
stuff to unpack that we got to try and do fairly quickly because we could just talk about that for hours.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but like
All right.
Gillian Davila saying Smoke and Lance makes her really happy, and I love
Yes.
that ship name. I am down.
Smoke and Lance.
That's nice.
Yeah, just Teresa Harden saying that she thinks the promise refers to the promise to Oliver's dad to save the city.
Oh,
Okay.
That also makes sense. He's got a couple promises at this point. Like, yeah, that's the long and short of it.
So it's basically pick one.
Yeah.
Basically spin the globe and pick a continent where you have to go to keep your word to somebody who died.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're pretty sure he's going to Russia.
That would be nice.
Yeah, it
That
seems
would be
like
nice.
that's where they were leading. And I remember early in the show, they alluded very heavily to Oliver having spent time with the Russian mob, and then they never talked about it again.
Yeah, it was weird.
Well, that's because he used those connections and then he broke those connections in
Yeah.
like season 2, so he can't go back to that or they'll murder him.
Sure,
I think.
yeah.
Boy, season 2 was a long time ago.
Yeah.
I think at this point, as sad as it makes me, we should probably head towards news and gossip. And as that's getting situated by our engineer, I just want to make a quick notice to Katie's Team Arrow shirt. Check that bad boy out.
Hey.
Is that your shirt? T-Republic? Is that you?
No, this was actually from an official event.
Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry, official.
This was
guess
when they
so.
first did the Arrow and Flash crossover. They had Star Lab shirts and Team Arrow shirts, and I think I
Nice.
fought someone for this one.
Nice. Just threw a few elbows, no big. Got your
It
Arrow
was more
shirt.
like, I don't want a Star Lab shirt. Dibs.
Oh, nice, nice. All right, so really quick, I don't have any pants on. Just thought,
It's news.
but there's a reason for that, right? Just because I'm
Me neither.
stuck in my darn these wires. Okay, so guys, I'm gonna turn to the front. We're about to go on a really long break. I won't see you for a very long time. So there's 2 ways that we can communicate. One, y'all know I do Boys and Beauty. Actually, my last episode was on Stephen Amell. We talk about the turtles, how I feel about the turtles. Join that conversation on my channel, Boys and Beauty. But towards June, I'm going to be starting a podcast with some former AfterBuzz hosts called Hollywood Shit. Talking about all the shit that goes down in Hollywood. Good, bad, and everything else in between. So not just gossipy stuff, but important stuff like diversity in the industry and all that other good stuff. Equality. But anyhow, my shirt is a Hollywood shit shirt. So I have a shitty shirt on right now. Show you my shitty
So
shirt.
are we explicit yet?
I mean, I have
probably.
my pants on, so, you know,
Not for the visuals.
that's all. That's why. I have no pants on.
Look at that merch.
Nice.
What? Okay. Gotcha. Anyhow, that's
I'm
all.
not wearing it, but if you want an ABTV Arrow shirt, they are available on TeePublic. If you search
Yes.
for Kiaxet, which, you know, the name that I spell at the beginning and end of every show, or if you search for AfterBuzz, they should be on there. They're all in my nice little shop. So we have a couple. We have a Squote shirt. We
Nice.
have an Oliver Queen is full of bees shirt.
I need to
we
give me that
have,
one.
Yeah.
We have a shirt with all of our handles on it, and eventually I will get my act together and make a Magic Nazi Corn shirt and hope
Yes.
that I can actually sell that, because that's kind of awkward without context.
That is.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
guys can find out when all these things come out, whether it be her shirts, my podcast, whatever, by making sure you follow us over the break. So support your host. Make sure you follow us, and let's talk about some news.
Sweet.
Okay, So, for those of you who follow Stephen Amell and who doesn't follow Stephen Amell, we know that he was giving away free pizza to support Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So here is the video from that, just because I was quite amused by it.
There are so many selfies of people just like, yeah, pizza. He says as he takes a bite.
That's not good work. That's not good work.
Then he like gives it
No,
to someone.
don't give
What do you
that
think?
to
What do you
Stephen
think the
Amell.
Stephen Amell took a bite of this pizza slice is worth now?
On
Oh,
eBay.
$1 $1.
Stephen Amell saliva.
Yeah, like that person immediately took the plate, went home, and put a picture up on eBay to sell it.
I would have kept that pizza. Are you kidding me?
It wouldn't keep for long.
Put it.
Unless you laminate it.
I would do it. Laminate it. Like, can you
Wear
sign this?
Laminate, it rots inside the laminate because that's what happens.
Whatever. Anyways,
All right.
you can watch it. This was from his Facebook page, so you can always watch it then. Other news that I want to talk about. Oh, because, well, I'll talk about that last. So we had talked a little bit about, you can pull up that picture of Stephen Amell and Colton Haynes. I want to call him Roy Harper. I don't know why I get these confusions confused. Anyhow, so we talked about the other week when it was a big deal that Colton Haynes came out and how it came out as far as Tumblr fans trying to pressure him into giving an answer. Well, a fan apparently tried to pressure Stephen Amell at Comic-Con when they were doing a Q&A. A fan, he basically was trying to out Colton Haynes, which I thought was so not cool. And basically Stephen Amell said that he ended up emailing him and be like, hey man, just want to let you know this is what happened. And Colton's response was like, don't worry, in the future some really great things are going to happen. Basically saying, you know, he'd planned on coming out. But I just thought, how do you even call yourself a fan if you're going to try to do that? Because obviously that's a very personal issue, for people. And for some people, it's not accepted, if you will. So maybe that's why he was choosing to keep his private life private.
For sure.
So
Right.
why would you pry like that?
Why is it any of your concern?
It's not. He's a fantastic actor. That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
A lot of people, I actually run into this a lot more with the Rooster Teeth fandom because a lot of the members of Rooster Teeth are much more accessible to fans. They're more available on social media, et cetera, et cetera. And you said that Tumblr fans were a lot of who were doing the pressuring. A lot of people feel like if you have someone on social media, if you're a mutual follow, if you are able to actually speak with them directly, that you are in some way entitled to their private life.
Yeah.
And it's not a line that should be crossed. It's people who don't really know where the lines are on social networking or simply don't respect boundaries. Like I said, I've definitely seen a lot of this with some of the fandoms I'm in, and it's the odd product of being on social media, being more accessible, not having to live in Hollywood or New York or wherever to see these people and be able to directly speak with them. So it's odd. Some people feel entitled. Some people think that they're doing the right thing. Some people think that they actually are this close to this person. They talked with me and now we're friends. Like it's weird societal boundaries that we haven't quite figured out yet on social media.
Yeah.
And we have our engineer saying having the right and being right are not the same thing.
Yes.
Bravo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amen.
And not cool guy at convention trying to pressure Stephen Amell to out his friend.
Right.
Boo.
Right.
Garbage.
Yeah, that is super over the
Not
line.
cool.
Like, do not do the thing.
Also, oh sorry, the film Slumber, which is a sci-fi film, is something that Emily Bett Rickards was cast, and I do believe they're filming it now or over the summer, which technically it is summer, so quite possibly now, but either way, she's going to be a new film, so yay, congrats to her. Nice. And then I have one last picture that has absolutely no relevance to anything at all whatsoever, but it is Oliver and Ryder, and I just think the wig, that's the only thing that caught my eye on this picture, to be honest with you, was... Oh, I'm glad. I bet he's really glad he doesn't have to wear that damn thing anymore.
Shooting outside with that in the sun's probably very warm.
Yep.
Well, and at the same time, too, he's had a haircut this whole season, right? So how come he's got long hair?
Yeah, when was this?
It was at the very
knows?
beginning.
Oh.
Like when he first dropped down, he had like long hair, and then like he got recruited, and he's like, "Nice haircut, Mr. Queen."
And they gave him a shave and a
I
haircut.
missed it.
yeah.
Oh, you know what? Okay, I know I'm going to misquote this, but I'll try to give you the gist of what was said. So Stephen Amell had these two quotes I think it was an Instagram picture, and the quote was from the beginning of whenever he started doing this, saying, "I will never have that stupid goatee." He didn't say stupid, but I will never have that goatee that the Green Arrow has. And then there's a picture with the goatee, and he's like, "I'm also really stupid."
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I just remember being at Emerald City Comic Con a few years ago when DC was only just starting to announce its new film slate, and during his Q&A panel I had it written down, I don't think I still have it written down, he made some sort of comment about how he is incredibly possessive of his characters and that he would put his head through the table if someone... There it is. I did write it down. I'm incredibly competitive. The thought of anyone else playing Oliver Queen makes me want to smash my head through that table because there was a table in front of him.
That's hilarious.
This was like 3-4 years ago.
But I love him so much for
Oh,
that.
bless that human being. But I kept that. I evidently kept that in my nice little notepad app because it makes me happy. And I don't know how to clean my stuff out.
Oh. All right, so 2 things I want to leave with you. So going back to Laurel Lance's death, just really quick snippet. David Ramsey had done an interview, and he was saying at that moment when she was killed that the tears that the cast had, he's like, those are all real. Nothing about it was... Not that it was acted, but he's just saying it was such a sad moment for everyone to come to the realization that their friend, not even Laurel, but their friend, Katie Cassidy, was now done with the show, if you will, and how emotional it was for them. But the last thing I want to talk about, and I don't know if this will take you into your guys' predictions or not, but talking about Arrow.
Oh, it'll definitely be right into it.
So Stephen Amell had said, Arrow is at its best when we're dealing with problems in Star City. We're not a time travel show. We're not a multi-Earth show, though obviously we do that with crossovers and stuff like that. We're Arrow, we deal with Star City, and I feel like we're better off focusing on that. Predictions!
Not
Crazy
yet.
music noise.
Not yet.
What? There we go. We got it. We got it. We're fine.
Chat wants us to talk about Oliver being mayor. We haven't hit on that
That
yet.
sounds like a prediction thing, though.
Yeah, I mean,
No,
it
just
is-
our thoughts so far.
It's something that they pulled right from the comics. I like it. Because I never read that specific Green Arrow run where he is the mayor, I have no clue, based on source material, what that may entail. But it's an interesting idea.
And I like that they're doing it. And I like that they set it up earlier in the season with you got 48% of the write-in vote. So, yeah, we have to hold an official election later on down the line, but you're probably going to keep this position.
I like it.
So
I like seeing
that.
Oliver do something for his city, because what they know of him outside of the Green Arrow was Party Boy from years ago, who was probably just some rich, spoiled brat. So to see this maturity and this man come, I like it.
Yeah, I agree. It'll definitely give Oliver a chance to grow beyond the, because all of his arcs have been within the context of the Green Arrow, and Oliver Queen, the character, hasn't really grown a lot.
True. Because he's bad at that balancing act.
Right. So
Maybe
I
this
think
will help.
So he's going to have to get real good in a hurry.
Yeah.
Because he's in the public eye, and you can't just... boop, 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 boop. You can't just Zoidberg out every time something comes up.
I'm the mayor.
Let's start the fancy music, Kay.
Yep, do it.
Predictions music.
And now,
And the light
your
show.
AfterBuzz TV.
Presenting the last predictions you will hear of this season.
So really quickly, before we get this little piece of information lost in what we're about to talk about, want to just hit on who Kovar is, this dude that got name dropped a couple of times. Depending on which iteration of the comics you are reading, he is either a member of the Teen Titans, or, more relevant to the conversation we're about to have, in the Flashpoint timeline, he is part of Hive's council, which obviously draws a direct line to the show that we are talking about. Now, we want to talk about Flashpoint. I don't think there's any way to talk about what Flashpoint is and why we think it's relevant without spoiling the heck out of last night's Flash.
So this is where our spoiler warning is for the Flash finale. If for some reason you haven't watched the finale of this season's Flash yet, you're going to want to leave for the next 5-6 minutes or so. And come back for the last 2 minutes where we talk about how you should follow us and we're all lovely human beings. Yeah, go.
Okay, hi. So, Flashpoint. If you follow comics, you know that one thing they sure do love is to reboot their entire universe. DC just did it today, in fact. The day that we are recording this, DC Rebirth #1 came out, and actually retcons
It's not
really...
a reboot. It's amazing. You need to read it. Anyway.
I was not able to avoid spoilers for it, so I know the ways in which they retconned elements of Flashpoint, but until this story came out today, what Flashpoint is there is a storyline where Barry Allen decides he's going to go back in time and he's going to save his mother from being killed by Eobard Thawne, a choice we saw reflected in last night's episode of The Flash. Now, if you watch The Flash, even if you don't read the comics, you know that time travel always comes with a big old bucket of awful, awful consequences. This took shape in the Flashpoint story by Barry returning to the present, discovering that nothing was the way he left it and everything was horrible. I believe Themyscira was at war with Atlantis, Bruce Wayne had died in the alleyway, and his dad became a drunk Batman with guns, and his mom became the Joker.
Yep.
Bad.
That was a crazy AU.
Everything horrible. So, being that we know how much they love to make awful, awful things happen to these people and how hard they've been pressing the idea of time travel brings with it great consequences, Barry making a decision like this has to have massive repercussions. Now, here's where it gets a little weird and super relevant, because these shows are all connected. If Barry alters his timeline in a massive way, it has to affect Team Arrow, doesn't it? Because there have been a couple of times where they're only alive because the Flash showed up. If it affects him, it should ripple out.
And it's also going to affect everyone on Legends of Tomorrow, with the possible exception of Rip, because they're all from Star and Central City.
Yeah.
And if he screws all that up, it's going to screw up all of their timelines, and that will reflect on the present day character.
So
that's how we get Snart back.
So here's the thing, right? We know that
on-camera revelations.
We assume all these things based on the source material and based on what we saw last night on Flash, and we know that Supergirl is about to join this roster, and we also know that despite the quote, Alikona, that you read about, they feel they are better suited at telling centralized, street level Star City stories. It has been confirmed that next season there's going to be a massive 4-way crossover between all of these shows. And they also
because we can't not.
Right. And last night on Flash, they also teased the idea of a big Crisis on Infinite Earths type event being a possibility. So I have to assume if these shows are all as connected as they are meant to be, this has to have some effect on Arrow as well.
But what's weird, and this is going to be really crazy for this, is that there are a lot of people who watch The Flash and nothing else.
Yeah.
And there are some people who watch 2 of the 3 and they don't overlap, or they just, I like Arrow, but I never got into any of these other things, or Legends of Tomorrow just wasn't my... If you don't watch The Flash and you do watch either of the other shows, none of this will make sense.
Yeah,
There's no way to work with this without messing with the other shows, but then you're alienating your chunk of viewers who are Arrow only, or I don't think we have any Legends only viewers that are not Arrow or Flash to start with. Let's be real about that one.
Right.
But you're alienating a big chunk of viewers who don't watch The Flash. Like, you don't watch The Flash.
Yeah.
Right.
You wouldn't know anything about this if we weren't sitting here going, about it.
And this is
really quick, so I'm going to cut you off because we do have to wrap soon, so at least let's get in some predictions for season 5 before we get kicked off the air. So,
there's no one after us.
True story. However,
9-hour show. 9-hour show.
Okay.
Anyway, season 5. Anybody, season 5, hop into the hashtag. Let me know what you think. In the meantime, I'm going to find out what the co-hosts think.
I think being mayor is probably going to be hard. That's what I got.
That's your prediction. You're done. Okay, next.
I think that we are going to see the other members of Hive kind of coming back and not necessarily taking vengeance for Damien Dark, but essentially we'll see the other pieces to give us more of a threat, because now we've escalated to a point where we need a group of villains as opposed to just one single entity. So I'm hoping that we get that next season.
And what I want for next season, for one, I really want to see Oliver have to step up his game between balancing Oliver Queen and the Arrow, because again, you can't just Zoidberg out if you're in the public eye. It doesn't work that way. And the other thing, and I've been saying this ever since we got that mid-season episode, I want to see who rises up now that the League of Assassins is gone.
Sure.
I want the season 5 plot to be who's going to fill this power vacuum, who is fighting over all of this, what is happening here. And now that we have Flashpoint thrown in the mix, I have absolutely no idea if it's going to play out, if we're going to retcon the entire world. Who knows? All of my predictions are moot, and I'm kind of upset about all of this at this point because Barry makes bad life decisions.
That affected universe.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
But that's what I want to see. I really want to see. We had this huge global event that has gone completely, well, a huge global event before Genesis, that has gone completely unaddressed, and there is a big global power vacuum. And I want to see all these different organizations rising up and trying to take, trying to take control of it, Hive included.
Yeah, and one last thing, their friend, Laurel, there is an Earth 2 doppelganger of Laurel in an underground super prison a couple cities away. I would love if somehow she gets out like they always do, and they have to deal with that, because that's easy drama, but I want to watch it.
Yeah.
It's easy, cheap drama, and I'm down.
Okay, so we have to get it on the road. I'll keep my prediction short. I think that Felicity is now obviously standing by Laurel? Wow, that's because you said Laurel. By Oliver's side. I don't think they're going to get back together right away, but I definitely think that she's going to be a lot of his backbone through a lot of things. And then maybe mid-season is where we might see a rekindling going on. But that's it. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to go to the front camera,
Mr.
to
Terrific.
the wide, so you can see all of us. Yes, we will have Mr. Terrific, but unfortunately, we have run out of time. We've had a fantastic time with you guys this entire season, chatting the night away. We hope to see you next season. In the meantime, make sure to follow all of your hosts. Again, I am Boys and Beauty 01, Alikona Bradford. Look for me on YouTube, all social media, and of course, my new podcast, Hollywood Shit.
Oh, is it my turn?
Yes.
Hi, it's me. My name is Lex Michael. I'm all over social media at the Lex Michael, and since I'm not going to see you guys for a while, I want to take one more opportunity to plug my web series. It's called Us 2. I am co-star, writer, producer, creator. It's a lot of fun. We're really proud of it. If you follow me on social media, and please do, we'll make sure that we link to it, and you'll be able to find it. Thank you guys. We'll see you next whenever.
Yes.
Next season.
That one.
And I'm Tauri J. Miller. You can find me at Tauri J, TAURI, That's on Twitter and Instagram. Plugging things. Make sure to check out my YouTube channel. Me and my buddy have a bunch of skits that we put up. We are known as the Puffy Vest Brothers. We'll be doing a duo competition, so keep track on social media so you can come and watch us do comedy hijinks.
And I'm Katie Cullen. You can find me on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, and YouTube at KiaXet. That's KIAXET. I'm also on Snapchat at Kia Prime. Search for our AfterBuzz shirts on TeePublic, TeePublic. If you search for Kiaxet, it should bring up my shop. It has all of them in there. I do have a YouTube channel. It's mostly reaction videos. We have a grand old time. Turn is on Tuesdays. Red vs. Blue is starting up. It's going to be every third or fourth Wednesday, and we are starting on the 1st. And yeah, we are going to be at RTX again in July. So if you're there, we have panels. We will see you there.
So basically, if you follow us on Twitter, you'll have tabs on everything we're doing.
Added value.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yes.
Okay, guys. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Until next season, goodbye.
Thank you.
I don't have any pants on.
We love you. Some of us wear pants, though.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Magic Nazi
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.